Stuntman David Leitch is back with another terrific film idea. And since he's a stuntman, it's this time about a legitimate stuntman to kick off the summer 2024 movie season.
Those were up, and they did.
We're smart, and my...
He told me enough.
No, I.
Here's Chuck.
Hey everyone, it's Don G. Corleone here, and I am here with a brand new movie review. And this movie review is going to be for a new release that came out this weekend. It was easily, pretty much the summer movie, one of the few summer movies I am really hyped for this year. And you're going to get to know why it is, but yeah, it's the first one to kick off May 2024. It's for a film directed by legendary director David Leitch. Ever since, he is now back after 22 years ago, he directed Bullet Train, and now he's back with another movie. This time about a stuntman. And this is going to be for 2024's The Fall Guy. So, what's the plot of this film? Well, you all know this movie's about a stuntman. Like everyone in the stuntman community, he gets blown up, shot, crashed, thrown through windows, dropped from the highest of heights, and for our own entertainment because he's a stuntman for movies. And then, fresh off an almost career-ending accident, this working-class hero now has to track down a missing movie star, solve a conspiracy, and try to win back the love of his life while still doing his day job. What could possibly go right? Yeah, so, guess what? How was this made? Well, this movie's been in development since July 2010. And that's because, guys, The Fall Guy was actually a 1980s series, and this is a film adaptation of it. And so around July 2010, nearly 14 years ago, Los Angeles Times decided to do a film based off the series. And DreamWorks Pictures had teamed up with producers Walter F. Parks and Laurie McDonald on the project originally, and Mark Campbell was going to be the director. And DreamWorks, through the Walt Disney Studios as Touchstone Pictures, because they had a little team up at the time, they were going to release the film in North America. This was around 2010, they had a big merger and they did a few films together. North America, Latin America, Australia, Asia, Mr. Smith Entertainment would even handle sales in the remaining territories. Then September 2013, when Johnson was in negotiations to play the title role, and MCG was in talks to direct, when they tried to do it again years later. Sadly, though, for the whole 2010s, the project would never marshalize until September 2020, that is, when Ryan Gosling and director David Leitch and writer Drew Pearce would be working on an unnamed stuntman film that would be picked up by Universal Pictures. And that, apparently, in May 2022, that was confirmed to be the film adaptation of The Fall Guy. It was back in production. This time with David Leitch doing it. In August 2022, Emily Blunt was announced to be joining the cast. And then in October 2022, they announced Taylor Johnson and Stephanie Houser joining the cast. And also the following month, Winston Duke, Hannah Wynandham, and Teresa Palmer. Then they finally were able to film the movie beginning October 2022 in Sydney, Australia. At the Disney Studios Australia. In Sydney. Then in January 2023, the Sydney Harbour Bridge was closed for daytime hours for filming of scenes that involved Gosling. So, after this film was finally made and finally released, The Fall Guy would premiere 2 months ago on March 12, 2024 at the SXSW and got released into the United States by Universal Pictures this weekend on May 3rd. And at the box office, it grossed about $28 million this weekend domestically, and got positive reviews from critics, and guess what, guys? It apparently also set a Guinness World Record for the most canon roles performed in a car. So, I did not know that till the time it just officially released. Now, as for my reaction, I had never heard of the TV series before, never saw the TV series, but that didn't stop me from being hyped for the film. Because, guys, even though I have not seen or I'm familiar with the TV series, it's from director David Leitch. This guy has done many films I've liked. He co-directed the first John Wick film, he directed Deadpool 2, and you all know 2.5 years ago he directed Bullet Train with Brad Pitt, which I also loved. Literally, yeah, I loved all three of those projects. And not only that, it starred Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt in a film together, and I loved both actors in certain projects for Ryan Gosling. Loved him in Drive, loved him in Blue Valentine, loved him in Blade Runner 2049 the most. For Blunt, I loved the Quiet Place movies, I love Edge of Tomorrow, I love Sicario, liked Oppenheimer, and many more. And honestly, Blunt seems like one of the few actresses in today's world I can actually trust. And there was a few other actors in the film I like. Aaron Taylor Johnson was also announced to be in this project. Like, they also announced Winston Duke. So yeah. So, this weekend I saw the film opening day in Surrey right after work, and how was it? Well, even though summer 2024 is just beginning for the movie season, this is already my favorite film of the summer 2024 season. And honestly, I would not be surprised if it ends up staying in the #1 spot for summer movies of 2024. I really like the idea of seeing a film about a stuntman, especially considering the director, David Leitch, is a stuntman himself. And when it comes to best films of 2024 in general, so far I'd put this in 5th place. You know what? With the concept of this movie, you know what movie it reminded me of? A movie like this has reminded me of? This movie. This was another comedy I liked. It was whole satirization, poking fun at movies. This film kind of does do that. No, the difference is Tropic Thunder is about actors. This one is about a stuntman in films and stuff. And yeah, it was a relief to be able to just watch a movie that seemed to be primarily concerned with being a good movie and not imparting any kind of politics whatsoever. We still get quite a few of those, but yeah, it's why I always really like any of David Leitch's stuff. This is the kind of films we get when David Leitch does a film. This film's about love, it was fun and lighthearted, and enough depth to keep one fully immersed. The Fall Guy depicts and spoofs the making of big-budgeted action films. Got outsized personalities and egos, clashing and combined, the concerns that are large, small, and absurd. There's even meta humor in the characters. And the relationship of the movie to the audience, they're handled very well. There's lots of great props that get handled well in the movie too. And the lighthearted parts of the story is what would make the distractions part of the fun. This film is filled with many things. It's filled with rom-com, it's filled with action, it's filled with crime. The movie has it all. You can tell the movie was made for the respect of the stuntman film industry, because you can tell a lot of stuntmen go through a lot of hell to be able to get certain great scenes in movies right. So that the actors or the characters can nail the parts they're playing the stunts in. Right there. Honestly, being a stuntman probably seems really dangerous. Even I don't think I'd survive being a stuntman. And Ryan Gosling in this movie, Ryan Gosling really gives a great performance in this film. He acts terrifically in each of the scenes he's in. He even shows his comedy side here. Emily Blunt's performance here also shines. Duke Winston is definitely also does give a pretty entertaining performance, and Aaron Taylor Johnson actually does a pretty good job as the film's villain. And pulls off the perfect A-list actor stereotype. This film, when it comes to Gosling's performance, I think this easily has to be his best performance since Blade Runner 2049. And also I think this might be one of Emily Blunt's top best performances. Here, it's hard to figure out which role of hers I prefer. I've either, because she has many great performances: Sicario, Edge of Tomorrow, The Quiet Place films, Oppenheimer, this movie. Yeah, honestly, there was not a single bad performance in the film. So how does this film start? Well, Gosling plays a stuntman named Colt Stevers. He's a Hollywood stunt performer. He works as a stunt double for actor Tom Ryder. But then, of course, one day, Colt unfortunately gets really injured during a misfired stunt, and he ends up having to abandon his career and his girlfriend, Jodie Morano, who's played by Emily Blunt, a camera woman. Then we get to 18 months later, and Colt is now literally a valet for a small Mexican restaurant. He then gets contacted by Tom's film producer, Gail Meyer, and Gail tells Colt that Moreno is directing her her first film, and it's called a science fiction epic, Metal Storm. And she wants Colt to join the production in Sydney, Australia. So Colt arrives on set, but apparently he finds out that Jodie never asked for him, is still angry about their breakup. Then Gil reveals that Tom disappeared after getting involved with drugs and wants Colt to find him before his absence causes the film's cancellation. So Colt doesn't want to ruin Jodie's directorial debut, so Colt goes to Tom's hotel room in a nightclub. He gets into fights there. Then at the hotel room, he finds a dead body in a bathtub full of ice. Then Colt returns with the police, but then suddenly, the body has disappeared. Yeah. This film kind of explains it all. To some people, a stuntman is a nobody. No one, knows the person. No one knows that the stuntman can be replaced, but this one, a stuntman is our protagonist. A stuntman tells the story. Here, and in the movie, and the story is even directed by a stuntman. So yeah. It's got kind of a role reversal. The double role reversal gets repeated a few times in the movie. And the dialogue gets really tight. It works well. The action stunts are amazing. The story really works. And it even has a soundtrack that is definitely perfect for any 80s movie fans. Especially for those who like 80s music. There's references to the 80s. And yeah, there's even a few hints at fourth wall breaks. An example, yeah. There's Kiss's song I was made for Loving You, which could please a lot of Kiss fans who love the band Kiss. It's heard in the movie many times. It can be used in situations. And it's seriously, the multi-genre part of the movie is also fantastic. Every type of movie fan can find something enjoyable while watching. Ryan Gosling's laid-back comedic personality shines in the performance of Colt Seavers. Throughout the movie, the audience, you also will watch moments that are especially hysterical with Gosling's performance. Gosling and Blunt's quirky but loving chemistry is very entertaining. Every scene they were in together really worked. Yeah, and honestly, I think the funniest scene of the film was when Colt is replaying his relationship with Jodie in his head. A little highlight reel to Taylor Swift All Too Well. Then Jodie sees him cry in his car and then goes to check on him. Once Colt realizes this, he tries to deny that he's listening to Taylor Swift either, and there's one scene during the finale when it's assumed that Colt is dead, but we know obviously Colt survived. He disguises one of the alien costumes that are used throughout the filming scenes when they're filming Metal Storm. He pretty much puts one of those on to show that Jodie is still alive, so he goes into Jodie's trailer. And Jodie thinks she's being spooked and then attacks him. I think he even stabs his leg with a pen or knife or something like that. The comedy here is not annoying and cringy compared to Marvel films nowadays. There's a good sense of humor here. The stunts, the special effects here, and after the little case begins with trying to find Tom, production of Metal Storm is continuing, and then Colt and Jodie, they're starting to finally rekindle their relationship, but then Gil abruptly informs Colt he has to return to the United States. But instead, Colt decides to go look for Tom and track down his PA, Alma Millen. But then, of course, he gets attacked by people looking for a phone belonging to Tom and Alma's possession. Colt then defeats them, and after an extended car chase through Sydney, which involves a rubbish truck, Colt and his friend Dan Tucker, played by Winston Duke, the stunt coordinator of Metal Storm, they unlock the phone in Tom's apartment. And there's a video of an intoxicated Tom accidentally killing his previous stuntman, Henry. So then the henchmen show up, they attack Colt and Dan, and they destroy the phone with shotgun pellets. Dan escapes though, but unfortunately, Colt, trying to first escape, he realizes the boat's down, he has to jump no, there's gotta be a stair, something. But then he sees people shoot him, nope, never mind. He has to jump the boat, but then he gets captured and he's brought face to face with Tom, who's then hiding out in a yacht in Gil's instructions, and Tom then reveals that Gil's actually not trying to have Colt back for a film, was actually wanting to frame Colt for the crime using deepfake technology to replace Tom's face with Colt's on the incriminating video. And Tom reveals that Colt and Henry's accidents were actually orchestrated by himself. So yeah, Tom pretty much got Colt's and caused Colt's injury. Then Henry's body gets discovered and the doctor video gets released on news media. And Gale tries to convince Jody that Colt is guilty and responsible for it. But then Colt escapes and he gets presumed dead after a Bill's chase. But of course, like, they're not going to kill off Colt. Obviously, like, they can't kill him off. This is supposed to be a comedy film. He survives and he swims underwater to escape. So yeah, rather than making stuntmen look like they're stupid or act like they're nobodies, this film celebrates the stuntmen of the film industry, and not with like all visual violence. It's entertaining, it's funny, it could be more. The story's a bit twisted, but that's the whole point of the film. Like, there's many bad stories in Hollywood where wrapping a film that gets, but like, where films try to do a story like this, but they don't win the hearts of many viewers at all. Here, like, Ryan Gosling achieves levels of perfection by merging the stuntman character of Drive that he played in like years ago. And this version of Colt is just lovable, especially like he's unafraid to be open to his vulnerability. It makes him more relatable while being really funny and likable. His comedic timing continues to be faultless, and it proves he can make any joke land. And also, like, you think Emily Blunt would just be some typical love interest in this film? No, Emily Blunt character actually gets a lot to do in this film. Like, any scenes like she shares with Gosling are charming, and then has like, charming as well. Like, it's not like their chemistry is not all like bitchy or preachy or overly cheesy. No, like, their chemistry here like really works. It's not like overly forced. And Winston Duke is actually like a great support to Gosling's character. And honestly, I think Winston Duke does a much better job at comedy than Brian Tyree Henry does in any of the MonsterVerse films. That's just me, though. And Neil Taylor Johnson, like, he's pretty much like a hilarious spoof of actors like Matthew McConaughey, like a spoof of A-listers in this movie, like a spoof of like the actors such as Matthew McConaughey, the big A-listers. Right here. And yeah. And I know Williams' cartoon show with a top producer really works, and like, that's like, it's kind of like a little spoof reference to Hollywood today, like, that's why it reminds me so much of Tropic Thunder, whereas Tropic Thunder was kind of a spoof to like war films and fading and reviving actor careers, like actors with careers that are fading due to flops, which was like Ben Stiller's character, where Ben Stiller has in this war movie hoping to save his career, or he's going to lose his career if this movie bombs because he was an action star. Then people were losing interest in his character, and he was starting to make so many box office flops, and this war movie was his last hope. Then you have like Robert Downey Jr. playing the reference to spoof to Oscar winners. And honestly, even though he's a comedy character, Robert Downey Jr. does a very phenomenal job playing him. And you can see why he was nominated for an Oscar performance, even if it was a spoof role. Then you have Jack Black playing like the obnoxious comedy star who doesn't really get the most attention, but like got picked for the war movie. And then you have like Jay Baruchel playing this newcomer, and Brandon T. Jackson playing like one of the obnoxious rappers of the music industry that sometimes like to be in films. Yeah. And yeah, like it was a reference to like the war films and like Hollywood of like the 2000s. This one's kind of like a reference of Hollywood today, in kind of a way here. So I felt like it kind of felt like a good throwback to Tropic Thunder. When you're watching an action movie, it can be easy to neglect how much effort goes into intense stunt work. Some like the brave men and women responsible, like the stuntmen, always risk their lives for the sake of us enjoying an action film. But they end up getting forgotten in favor of the more well-known actors that they're doing the stunts for. Sometimes, I wish awards would actually go to the stuntmen. Sometimes the stuntmen really deserve, more awards for almost endangering themselves so that we can have a phenomenal film. Right here. The Fall Guy pays good tribute to these stunt performers, and it really entertains and serves as a reminder of the lengths that people will go through to ensure the audiences will keep coming back to the movies to watch the movies they film. And we see during the filming of the movie within a movie Metal Storm, how hard and difficult it clearly is for Colt being forced to perform the same stunts over and over, like being set on fire or being thrown to walls. Yeah, he's subjecting himself to painful situations in a montage. He's set on fire, thrown out car windows. It's shown many of those working on the film don't even acknowledge him by name. They dismiss him as just a stuntman. And seeing this side of stunt work, it's really from the perspective of an actual performer like David Leitch, yeah, because this movie's directed by a stuntman who's done a lot of stunts. And it gives the film a sense of authenticity in the storytelling. Like, this guy has done stunts for Keanu Reeves, I think. I think so. Like for some Keanu Reeves films, or he's done quite a few stunts. He's not just a director. And this right here, guys, is where you get the finale, where when it's at first presumed that Colt is dead, and Tom arrives at the Maelstrom set the next day with his goons, and the production of the movie continues. Colt then returns, and you get the scene where he dresses up as one of the aliens that's on set, one of the alien actors, so he can sneak into Jodie's trailer to show he's still alive. But Jodie doesn't know it's him and gets spooked by this, so she pretty much beats him up, stabs his leg with a pen or a knife. And like, you think you could just sneak up on me? So yeah, like then, of course, like then Colt then reveals he's still alive after that, and then so rather than be like furious at him, like she's surprisingly chill about it afterwards, and like not angry at him, or yeah, there's no liar revealed stuff in here at all. I like that there's none of that stupid rom-com cliches here. Right here, like Blunt and Gosling in this movie are actually a likable couple you enjoy watching. So they pretty much go trick Tom into participating in a stunt sequence. They trick him into confessing while he's wired with a microphone. And so the rest of the crew hold off the goons. And Gil steals the recording at gunpoint and tries to escape in a helicopter. And like the stunt was like where Colt and Tom driving over a ramp and the car crashes. At first it seemed like that kills Tom at first, but it doesn't. Though, and so yeah, but yeah, it doesn't kill him. So Gil steals recording, gunpoint, tries to escape, and then Jodie helps Colt leap onto the helicopter mid-air, and Colt then retrieves the recording and then falls into a crash map prepared by Dan. Then the police arrive, and Tom then makes a phone call, but he's standing near a sensitive explosives, and they blow him up right there. And so Tom is pretty much defeated. Tom and Gil are pretty much defeated. Then, of course, Maelstrom then resumes production, and everything seems to be going really smooth. So, after that, Maelstrom appears at San Diego Comic-Con, and for the lead role, like, Jason Momoa makes a cameo appearance for the lead character from Maelstrom he's playing, which also got a laugh out of me. And actually, Jason Momoa surprisingly did a great job with this cameo. And the film apparently, and then Maelstrom goes on to become a blockbuster. So Colt gets exonerated of the fake charges, and he and Jodie get back together, and pretty much, yeah, Jodie successfully completes her directional debut. When I left the theater, there's some behind-the-scenes footage of real stunt work involved in the making of the film. Now, would I have any bad qualities for this movie? That being said, I think, if I had to think of bad qualities for the movie, maybe the villains could have been fleshed out a bit more. And when it comes to Colt and Dan scenes, I feel like they could have been developed better. Personally, I was more interested in Gosling and Blunt scenes together a little more than Gosling and Duke scenes together much more. There's times when I could tell in real life, I don't think Colt would survive some scenarios in this film he gets put through. And I'm not sure why the worst injury that the main character gets is literally stopped with a pen by another main character. Some of the stunts, and there's some stunt scenes that seem a little bit too unnecessary at times. But other than those, few nitpicks, I still love this movie, and I highly recommend it. Summer 2024 is already off to a pretty good start. And I hope we get more good stuff this summer than last year. Because, last year did start off nice with Across the Spider-Verse, but it got shittier as it progressed. Technically, some may say summer season doesn't start yet, but technically speaking, according to some people, they think it always starts in May, so I guess I'm just going along with it. The Fall Guy's already off to a pre-summer movie season to a pretty good start. So, I hope this can keep going, and maybe some surprises will happen. Quiet Place Day 1 and Maxine are the only other two summer movies I'm excited for this year. Well, to me anyways, but unless some films prove to be a surprise, who knows? And this film has a pretty good message. The message of this film is that there's more than meets the eye. No, I'm not saying that to reference Transformers. And it can be applied to many different situations, both in life and in the film. Like, Colt really mentions how stunt people take the falls for the actors. The actors are the ones that win awards and get to be in advertisements and always get all the credits. The stunt guys don't really get noticed, and I wish they kind of did. A little more. But oh well, like, in the end, guys, The Fall Guy is totally worth a buy for any movie fan and anyone interested in seeing the life of a stuntman or was a fan of the show for those who saw it and are familiar with it. As you all know, like I've already mentioned, this was once a show, so it's definitely one of the best film adaptations of an old series. And probably like the best one since 21 Jump Street. First we've had these in like a while. I think the last time we've had something like this was Baywatch. Anyways, guys, that's it for my view of The Fall Guy. If you're wondering how to rank The Fall Guy, here's how I'm going to rate this movie. So overall, if you are a huge movie buff and have always been curious to see the life of a stuntman or a film about one being thrown in a crazy situation to kick off the summer movie season this year, then totally watch it by The Fall Guy for your collection, no doubt. And if you're wondering how I'm going to rank The Fall Guy, I'm going to give The Fall Guy a 9 out of 10. There we go, guys. That wraps up my review for The Fall Guy. And yeah, so now that's like... Now, here's a review I've been long wanting to do. Like, it's one I've gotten things prepped for so far. I still haven't done a review for it yet. I'll be rewatching this some point this week. I'm going to try to. And then I'll get on with my X-Men series. Starting with the first film. After Terminator 2, then I'll try to get on to the X-Men series. Yeah. But, yeah. Now, for those who, if you have seen The Fall Guy already, tell me in the comments below what you thought of the movie, whether you loved it or if you personally did not like it. Just tell me in the comments below. And until then, guys, that'll be it for this review. Thank you all for watching. If you like this, want to see more, and don't forget to like, subscribe to Don G. Corleone.